The crisis to come. I hope you're ready, man. It's coming. There's not much you can do about it. Oh, yeah, I'm looking good. Got his little beard. Just got back from a fishing trip with my man Ron, who I used to be in the Army with. Took my boys in Charlotte down to Savannah. Actually, he lives south of Savannah. And Ron's got a nice big old boat, Yamaha 250. I don't know what they call them. I don't know what it is. I don't know anything about boats. I haven't gone fishing in a long time. And we went out in the deep sea. And as we got in the deep sea, and we stopped to do some, so we're doing the troweling. I don't know anything about fishing. But anyway, the troweling means you just have the little hooks or the things on the back of the boat as you're going, and you're hoping to catch something. And then that didn't bother me so much, even though it was kind of, the waves were bad. I was trying to drive the boat. I couldn't drive to save my life. And Calvin jumped in there for me. I was like, dude, Ron's like, go east. I'm like, all right, I'm going east. He goes, no, you got to go the other way. I said, the other way to go east? Anyway, I was confused. And I'm not good at land nav, or ocean nav, I should say. Anyway, so I had 360, got the lines all crossed. I'm not a good seaman. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so we get out there. We finally stopped. We're about 20 miles out in the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, or something like that. And we're just bobbing. I was like, I was like, man, my stomach is in my throat. I was like, this doesn't feel good at all. I'm like, yeah, I don't like this, man. I want to get back. Anyway, but we did jump off. That was fun. I very much enjoyed jumping off the boat out there, 20 miles out. It was fun, man. Just, I could swim out there all day long. It's tiring, but it's fun, man. It's just when you get back to the boat, it's like bobbing like that. Ugh, I didn't like that. So anyway, I'm a big old baby, so I said, I kind of want to go back. And Ron's kind of disappointed. He's my man. He and his wife just crush. Great host. And he was kind of disappointed because we didn't catch anything. I said, dude, it's not even about fishing. It's about just coming out here and being on the water. But I was like, frankly, I didn't feel good. I did not feel good at all. I didn't take in that Dramamine or anything like that because I think, I can do it. Nope. Anyway, so we go back, and as we're going back, Ron's like, oh boy, we're about to run into a wall of rain. And you're like, oh, I call it a Category 5 hurricane. That, you know how people got a tail on when they catch a big old fish? They go like this. I was out there. We survived a Category 5 hurricane in Ron's little boat there with a 250 horsepower. But anyway, so you see this, you're just going in the dark. I don't think we saw lightning there, did we? I don't think we did. It's freaking scary, dude. The waves are going like this. Ron said there's sand dunes or sand bars on each side. And he's like, if we get hooked on one of the sandbars, that's not good. I'm like, and he's like, and the problem is I can't really see because the rain is boom, 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 and it hit me in the eyeball a couple times. I was like, ouch, it hurt, man, and it's cold too. Ron's like, it's be cold and it's gonna be wet and it's gonna pelt you, and I'm like, what? No, man, it's not gonna be cold. It was cold. You're like, and I'm all wet. I'm just standing there, and my kids are on there. They got the towels covering up. My wife's in the back, and we're just like, and I'm just sitting in these waves. I'm like, this is freaking scary. I said, Ron, are you scared? He goes, nah, dude, we'll be all right. I'm more worried about the sand dunes, or whatever they're called, sandbars. And so he's like driving like this, like, because trying to keep it from pelting his eyes, looking at him like, oh, that was scary. Anyway, so we get back to land. Stick to the issues, Josh. Stick to the issues. And then we dropped some line off his boat, off his wharf there, and that was fun. And so Charlotte caught a croaker, and she caught a sheephead. I think it's called a sheephead, which Ron says is a great tasting fish. And Calvin caught stingray. Liam and I didn't catch anything, all right, other than a bunch of gnats eating us because we're so sweet and tasty. But it was still fun, man. We had a blast, and we got to jump off the wharf. I love jumping off the wharfs, man. It was just a blast. It's just, I just love it. I saw flying fish, one of those flying fish. I was just sitting out there yesterday morning drinking some coffee. I was like, oh, man, it's great. Charlotte very much enjoyed the fishing, so that was pretty cool. So we're definitely going to find a place on a river or something like that to live because the fishing was fun. All right, anyway, so I want to share with this email my man has sent to me here. Stick to the issues. This is my man Chris from up in Maine, and he's we'll call him a first responder. He goes, here in Maine, we're having a public safety worker shortage, actually labeled a crisis by some. To combat, the department I work in recently implemented a retire in place program for those eligible to retire. They did this as an incentive to keep us working. Basically, they allowed us to separate from the main public employees retirement system and start collecting our pension. And then they returned us to work almost as if we never left. We call this double dipping, and that's nothing. Look, man, I remember when I was on the planning commission in the city of Harrisonburg, not Harrisonburg, a town of Dayton, Virginia, outside of Harrisonburg. the chief of police did that double dipping. And, you know, some people got upset, some people did. Basically, you're just working there. You're retiring, but you're staying in the job. You know what I'm saying? You're getting your pension and you're getting your salary. And it's a tough one, man. You're like, should you really do that? But if they don't have a qualified guy to replace it, you can't really blame them. You can't punish the guy for taking his pension when he can. And if you need his experience, you can't punish him for taking his pension and then paying him his salary too. You just can't. So that's what they're doing here, my man Chris. They're allowed us to separate from the public employees' retirement system and collect the pension and then return back as if they never left. Let's see. And then he talks about some of his other stuff. All right, so I told him, I said, you know, and then Chris, I said, Chris, it's crazy to think that in one generation, we went from almost no way to land a job as a firefighter, policeman, or other public safety employee to now a crisis situation. And I said, I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. What happens in Maine, where the population is so old, will be happening throughout the rest of the country in about 10 years. You heard it here first. So I want to show you this from the New York Times. This is crazy. How a vast demographic shift will shape the world. So look at this. In 1990, China had working age population, Russia, Japan, U.S., Canada, young people of India, Brazil, Nigeria, Indonesia, and whatnot. Now we go over to, watch this, 1990. So still 1998. Uh-oh, look at Japan, 2007. Japan is starting to get old. Uh-oh. 65, a quarter of the population in Japan in 2013 was over 65 years old. Right there, that's in 2013. Look at China starting to get less green. Look at Europe. Watch this. Watch this. 2023. Look at that. Japan's dark orange. Europe is light green. U.S. is not nearly as... Look at Mexico and Brazil, working age. All right, watch this. Oh, look at Mexico and Brazil. So we were dark, and they were lighter. Watch what happens. Now we're getting older. Mexico and Brazil are staying relatively green, still working age. Watch, though. Keep watching. 2027. Look at Europe, dude. Soon, much of Europe will record old age populations, record old age populations. Over a quarter of the people in Europe will be in South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, East Asia, Europe, Canada. Watch. Watch what happens by 2000. Look at that. I'm not sure. Is that Cuba? I don't know. But watch what happens here. 2050. Look at that. 2050, man. Europe's doomed. U.S. is still because we have immigration. But look at Brazil. Look at India, Pakistan, Indonesia. They're going to be... Look at China. You know what I'm saying? So these are the dominant countries in the future in about 20 years or so. These will be potentially dominant countries in about 50 years. I always said Nigeria should invade France, man. And why not? Look at Canada's doomed. We just have more, we're more Christian in the United States, and we have more kids, and we have immigration, too. I mean, immigration is going to be our saving grace in some regard. I know, well, it is what it is. You want people to put your roof on. White guys aren't doing it anymore. Black guys aren't doing it anymore. It's going to be non-Native Americans. It's just that simple. But look at this. So at the same time, many low-income countries will have huge prime-age labor forces for their first time. Can they take advantage of the opportunity? So where I'm going with this is what's happening in Maine right now is going to happen in the rest of the country in about 10 years. We have an older population, older demographics, less and less people able to do the work. You can see that a mile away. So when you need stuff done, there's less and less people to do it. Just look, I mean, look, you used to not be able to get a job as a firefighter to save your freaking life, dude. And now they're desperate. I'm telling you. Now, are some more desperate than others? Absolutely. Maine is an old state. West Virginia, Pennsylvania, all those northeastern states, they're all old, man. The South is getting more and more younger people for sure, but we're still aging out too, man. There's not enough young people to replace us. And the young people we have, a lot of them don't have a skill set to replace the guys that are going out, like my man Chris. I can't stress this enough. So if you, let me just show you what else here too. Hold on just a second. By 2050, people aged 65 and older will make up nearly 40% in some parts of East Asia and Europe. That's almost twice the share of older adults that Florida has right now, which is America's retirement capital. Extraordinary number of retirees will be depending on a shrinking number of working age people to support them. In all of recorded history, no country has ever been as old as these nations are expected to get. Today's wealthier countries will almost inevitably make up a smaller share of global GDP, which is a sea change for Europe, the U.S., China, and other top economies which have had some of the most working age people in the world. Their large workforces help to drive economic growth. But these countries are already aging off the list. Soon the best balanced workforces will be most in the South and Southeast Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The aging of the world is a triumph for development. People are living longer, healthier lives, and having fewer children as they get rich. The opportunity for many poorer countries is enormous. However, demography isn't destiny. Without jobs, having a lot of working age people can drive instability rather than growth. And so the question is, where's the growth going to come from? And if you sit there and say it's technologically driven, I grant you some regard, but you still need people to spend money to drive the economy. That's just a fact. And with no spending, because as people age, they don't spend as much, they don't consume as much, they don't buy a new set of tennis shoes, they don't move that much. They die in place, many of these people. That's what I will intend to do once my kids are gone. Who's going to come up behind you? Are you expecting 8 to 10 to 12% rates of return on stocks when there's no one there to buy up the goods? I mean, AI doesn't purchase product, man. It can be more efficient on the perimeter for sure, but it doesn't purchase stuff. Human beings purchase stuff. Human beings do the work. Human beings make the money, they pay the taxes. Without the human beings, I'm telling you right now, man, and I'm going to do another video later on, should you take Social Security early or invest it? And I'm going to show you what it looks like if you got a couple different range of investment returns. But I mean, this idea that what happened in the past is going to happen in the future, it's nuts to me, man. Older people spend less. Spending, personal consumption expenditures is what drives economic growth, GDP. Yes, you can scale, make more things more efficient. I 100% grant you that. That is not spending. That won't replace spending. And without spending, my friends, there's no economic growth to be had. I mean, it's growth. I'm not saying it won't be any. I'm just saying it won't be what you've come to expect. And if it won't be what you come to expect, how can you expect the stock market to continue to give you that kind of rate of return? No. Love your thoughts. We'll see you guys later. Thanks now.